Now you've made your purchase, it's time to get the compressor started. It's always a good idea at this point to read the instructions. Pay particular attention to any safety instructions, as these will help avoid any expensive damage to either yourself or the machine. Right, first of all, the most important thing to check before we start anything is that the drain valve is shut underneath the tank. This is a little drain valve which is used to drain any water that comes from the compressing of the air and collects in the receiver or tank. Make sure that's firmly turned off so that air can't leak out of there. Secondly, and this is a good regular check anyway, is to check the oil level. Dipstick just like a car, and it has an oil level on there. Make sure it has sufficient oil in it. If it's an oil-free machine, that won't be necessary, but this one's a lubricating machine, so we need to check it all regularly. Next thing prior to starting, make sure that the machine is switched off at the pressure switch there prior to starting. Never switch it on and off at the plug, because this can damage the pump unit due to having compressed air already in the head when the compressor is trying to start up. So always stop and start the machine on the pressure switch on the top of it. At the moment there's zero pressure in there, so it's going to be starting and running up from that pressure. Right, that was the pressure switch cutting in. Once it's got up to its normal working pressure, the pressure switch cuts in and shuts off the motor. When you use air, and I'm just going to use a blowgun here to demonstrate this, when you use air, the pressure obviously drops and the pressure switch senses the lower, what we call a differential pressure, when the pressure is dropped off to the lower level and it restarts the compressor. Most small direct drive or belt drive compressors work on this principle. If you're not going to use it, switch it off on the pressure switch. Again, let me remind you, always at the switch, never at the socket where the plug's plugged in. Pressure relief valves, something that all compressors have. They're a very simple unit. These are designed to blow off any excess pressure that's created should the pump unit start to run over the top. It prevents damage to any of the components, and of course it prevents the receiver or tank blowing at excess pressure. It's a good idea to check these every now and again to make sure that they are working. If you just pull a little ring on the end, it lets a bit of air out, you know that it's seating properly. Just like a car engine, compressor pump units draw air in to compress the air, and of course we need to ensure that air is perfectly clean to prevent wear and tear on the inside of the compressor pump unit. So these little units here actually are removable. Take the little foam filter out, wash it out periodically, pop it back together, and it'll keep your compressor running safely for long periods. Just one final thing, it's always a good idea to try and sight the compressor in an open environment where there's plenty of ventilation around it to prevent it overheating. Don't be tempted to put it inside a wooden box to keep the noise down. It will almost certainly overheat and cause damage to the pump unit. So, to sum up on compressor use and maintenance. Always ensure your pressure switch is switched off before switching on at the plug socket. Secondly, check your oil level regularly. Thirdly, drain water from the tank regularly. And finally, check and clean the air filter.